As Secretary of Health and Human Services, my message is clear: eat real food. Nothing matters more for healthcare outcomes, economic productivity, military readiness, and fiscal stability.
Today, about 50% of the calories that our children eat are ultra-processed food or highly refined carbohydrates that's literally poisoning them. And that is the result of a food pyramid that was driven by mercantile impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the fruit pyramid. We now have a science-based food pyramid that is based upon the most recent best science. And it's telling people to eat proteins, eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And that is going to transform the American dietary culture.
Okay, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're talking about the food pyramid. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has quite literally turned the food pyramid upside down. So in January of 2026, the United States Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. reintroduced an inverted food pyramid, emphasizing eating the complete reverse strategy that was taught to every kid in every American school, every public school for, I don't even know, for years. I mean, it seemed like since 1992, the food guide pyramid has been just pushed into the minds of every child that exists. And now Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has just flipped upside down, literally. And here to break it down is Dr. Troy Spurl. If you're looking for a doctor you can trust, and I know you are, his website is officialsynapse.com, officialsynapse.com. He's a trusted source for any of your medical needs. He's got a thriving practice right there in beautiful Minnesota. I know him because during the lockdowns and the quarantines and the curfews and the mask mandates, this was one of the few people speaking up for truth unapologetically and helping his patients by doing so. So with that being said, Dr. Troy Spurl, what's your reaction to the inversion of the food pyramid, sir?
Well, this might seem like a little thing for some people, but for us, we've been waiting for this for 30 years. This has been something that's just been taught wrong, and it really started back in the 50s and the 60s. And I'll say this, the number one deficiency worldwide is iodine, and iodine was actually part of the bread, and then they ended up replacing that with bromide. And so at that point, bromide displaces iodine and starts to create things like thyroid problems. So the actual food recommendations, not only was it upside down, but what they were putting in the food was also making us actually more unhealthy. Iodine is very, very much needed to help the thyroid, but also to prevent infections. And that was purposely taken out of the food at the same time. So I cannot tell you how excited we are in the healthcare field, the functional medicine field in particular, to finally get some recognition. And if you notice on that chart, sweets, sugary drinks that were on the old chart are taken off completely. So you can take to the bank that RFK is doing the right thing. He is making great grounds when it comes to actually making real change. So we're pretty pumped in the healthcare field.
Now, a lot of people say, let's break that down. You know, they're saying, hey, I'm it's the new year, want to lose some weight, want to optimize my health. On part 2 of today's show, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Sean Baker. That's the doctor who invented what's called the carnivore diet. He's been on Jim Rogan he's been on Joe Rogan on multiple occasions. Dr. Sean Ryan has been on Joe Rogan on multiple occasions, talking about his best-selling book, The Carnivore Diet. And in fact, 2 of our conference attendees decided to go on the carnivore diet themselves, and each of them lost over 80 pounds in the past 6 months they lost over 80 pounds in 6 months. These 2 conference attendees literally lost 80 pounds in 2 months by simply only eating meat. That's a pretty radical idea. Dr. Troy Spurl, what's your thoughts on people that are prioritizing eating meat as opposed to fruits, grains, bread, these sorts of traditionally celebrated diets?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, for a lot of people with autoimmunity, where you have a confused immune system, the carnivore diet and the keto diet, the meat-friendly diet, they actually help quite a bit. And so a lot of people are losing weight, reversing autoimmunity. we are fat deficient actually, which sounds crazy when you look at the majority of Americans, they're obese, but they're actually good, healthy fat deficient. If you look at the chart, again, the upside down pyramid, if you take the upper right side of that pyramid, that is very, very similar to the Daniel diet of the Bible. If you get the upper left side of that pyramid, that's like the paleo carnivore type of diet as well. And we can see if you focus on just those two areas, most people will find the diet that'll bring them back into balance. And then when you're in balance, you can switch to that actual full pyramid and introduce other things as well. So we've been using that process to help people for years. And this food pyramid is very biblical. I'm going to say it that way. This food pyramid aligns with how we should eat and the healthiest forms of how we should eat. Just and really to reset the wrongs that have been perpetrated when it comes to the diet we've been eating for the last 50 years, really.
Now, somebody out there is saying, look, I want to optimize my health this year. I want to get after it. I want to do it. Do you help do you help our listeners? Do you help people that want to optimize their health, reduce excess weight, optimize their health, get into a better proactive lifestyle? Tell us about what you do, or if you do, provide those services there at officialsynapse.com.
Yeah, absolutely. We meet people where they're at as far as what their goals are, but proactive is the key word there. So we're going to look at diet, lifestyle, sleep, exercise, movement habits, and then dig into some of the biochemistry of lab work and look at what's working in your life and what's not working in your life. So we have coaches that help bring people along. We have chiropractors, doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, trauma coaches. So we'll work on stress as well. And so a lot of these things are needed to help guide people into a healthy diet and lifestyle. Because of Dr. Google, again, we've got so much information out there and people don't know what's the pertinent information for you. So the way you figure that out is you assess your body, you assess your mind, and you look at what your needs are. Everyone's a unique individual. So conceptually, you can work on diet, sleep, all these things, but it's different, unique to each individual. So it's important to know who you are and what's actually pertinent to you.
So, why would somebody who eats a diet that's all carnivore lose so much weight so rapidly? I mean, why would the guests on part two of today's show lose in excess of 80 pounds, 80
Yeah.
pounds in 6 months by simply flipping the food pyramid upside down?
So the thing about how our body works is we use sugar or carbs for fast energy. So that's fast fuel. But we use fat for longer fuel. It burns better. It's actually a better, longer fuel. We get more energy from that. So when you are just doing a carnivore diet, you are actually using fat for energy. We have a switch that occurs from using sugar for energy to fat for energy. So then you start actually having great energy from the fat you're consuming, but it starts to use the fat that's on your body for energy. And so we start to just completely change that fuel source. And when we treat things like Alzheimer's or memory issues, we get them into a state of ketosis where they're burning this fat for energy and it cleans. It's like a cleaner fuel. So it cleans the brain, the body. The same thing happens when you fast. So this is basically a diet that can help induce a fast state where you're not actually avoiding the food per se. So Dr. Baker, he's the man. He will explain a lot of that and go into detail. But we actually see we've gotten so far away in the amount of carbs that we consume. In 1905, the average American consumed 5 pounds of sugar a year. In 2010, that jumped all the way up to 160 pounds. So if you look at the average sugar consumption, we're consuming like almost a human when it comes to sugar. And I don't eat a lot of sugar, so someone's actually eating my portion. So someone's eating double that probably.
Unbelievable. Again, one more time, I want to hammer this because many people are hearing this, they're reacting to this, they're going, well, what does this mean? This inversion of the food pyramid. For people such as yourself that are focused on optimizing health, this is a big thing. For many people, they maybe just go, it's a diagram that's now changed the way it looks. But why is this such a monumental, game-changing thing for you? and people such as yourself who are doctors, people in the medical space that have been trying to optimize the American health, the American diet for so long. Why is this such a game-changing event for you?
Number one, because it's right and it works. It aligns with how our body works. But number two, it's actually waking people up to the fact that why did we get it so wrong before? If people start really looking at that, they're going to start having an increased level of discernment in regards to who should I trust and who should I not trust. And so that's one of the things RFK is doing. He's cleaning things up, but he's also educating the people, bringing in new evidence, and that will increase people's ability to discern if they actually look at it. So for us, it not only is if you just follow that chart to a T, you will feel better and feel healthier. Number one. But number two, if you look at why and answer the question, why is it so different? Why is it exactly opposite? And then where else in life does this show up? And boys, are you about to be woken up to a whole new world?
Dr. Spurl, thank you so much for your time today. I greatly do appreciate you fitting us into your busy schedule. I encourage everyone to check out your practice there, officialsynapse.com. It's officialsynapse.com. Dr. Spurl, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week, sir.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right, so the new dietary guidelines have now just been released, and there are significant changes to what was previously the dietary national policy. And I'm going to discuss some of the winners and some of the losers, some of the things that I think are going to be very important going forward, and how to think about nutrition, how we think about feeding this country in general. Okay, let's start with the introductory document. It's a 10-page summary statement, and effectively this is the dietary guidelines, and it has a tremendous emphasis on real, whole, unprocessed foods. Now, this document is, signed by HS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, and of course the USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins. Now, the emphasis is on, as I said, whole, unrefined foods, minimizing or eliminating ultra-processed food, which I think is a good thing in general. They focus on protein. They've increased significantly the protein recommendations, basically doubling the former RDA of 0.8 grams per kilogram to up to 1.6, so anywhere between 1.2 and 1.6 grams of protein a day for a healthy adult. And that is in line with what most of the research would indicate is appropriate for maintaining and building lean mass, which is critically important for overall health, metabolic health, function, and so on and so forth, and disease resilience. They dramatically reduce the recommendations for added sugar, significantly reducing that. I think going from 10% down to 2%. They cut back dramatically refined grain products significantly, which again is a good thing. They emphasize including meat at every meal, basically, or a strong amount of protein at every meal. Include meat coming from things like red meat, eggs, dairy products, seafood, of course. And I think that is generally a big win. There is also a interesting several sets of carve-outs there. There is some different recommendations for younger populations, which I think are kind of in line with this, continuing heavy on the protein, high quality fats, things of that nature. I think one of the things that is really important is a carve out for chronic disease, to include the inclusion of low carb diets as a means to mitigate that. I think that is a huge win. I think that's incredibly important. I think, again, we have to realize this is a dietary guidelines for the whole country. Not everybody's on a carnivore diet, not everybody's on a ketogenic diet, but I think in general, this is a very good pattern. Now, are there any particular areas where I think, they still have some problems with? And I think the biggest one, and this is something that, for those of you that are familiar with Nina Teicholz, author of The Big Fat Surprise, who has been crusading for changes in the dietary guidelines for at least a decade now, and hats off for her for having, I think, some impact on this. I know they involve a number of people in the low carb community who previously had not been given much of a voice to help shape these guidelines. And I think these are fair guidelines for the majority of people. Now, the one issue that I think a lot of people in the low carb, particularly ketogenic and carnivore community, will have issue with is the fact that they left a saturated fat cap of no more than 10% of your calories coming from saturated fat. So that makes it challenging to eat, some of these other recommendations to include, eggs and red meat and things like that, because as we know, meat has a higher amount of saturated fat than some of these other foods. So that is sort of a difficult sort of exception to reconcile, and maybe there'll be some further clarity on that. But right now, it seems like there are two disparate messages. If you read the overall summary, it says, "Hey, eat meat, eat eggs, eat dairy, particularly whole milk dairy or whole fat dairy," and yet there's this sort of hidden, in a deeper layer about this remaining 10% saturated fat cap, which is hard to reconcile. And if we look at who that impacts, if the average person just takes the face value, eat real food, include as much meat, milk, and eggs as you feel like, get your protein in, limit ultra-processed food, so on and so forth, I think that's generally pretty good advice. And again, there's recommendations to eat fruits and vegetables, and I think that's fine for the average person. Again, when we're talking about sick people, I think we have a little bit different discussion. But at the same time, when we are feeding federally funded entities like, many schools, like military, like, hospital systems that take federal money and so on and so forth, we still have this sort of one little issue with the saturated fat thing. I think it is a start. I think it is a welcome change. And I think, hats off to all that are involved. And I know RFK and Secretary Rollins are going to get, a lot of the credit here, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes that certainly deserve that. My friend Ben Bickman announced that he was part of that, advisory panel, and others that you guys probably know have been involved in this. And as I've been pushing for years, the one thing that I will say that I really appreciate, as I've said many, many times, that our dietary guidelines should resemble more of what like Brazil has done. And Brazil basically says just eat unprocessed food, cook at home, use whole food ingredients, so on and so forth. And this very much mimics that. So I think that's a good deal, to not overly complicate things and to just say, hey, let's stop eating this ultra processed garbage. Let's focus on whole unprocessed foods. And I think undoubtedly that message is a sorely needed message. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments about the dietary guidelines. I think it is a win for the country. I don't think it's it's everything that I would have liked to have seen in there, but it is most of it, quite honestly. And I think this will continue to evolve over time. Hopefully, this will hopefully invigorate the cattle industry. Because I think this is saying, hey, red meat is on the menu again, and I think that's a very important message there. I know Secretary Rollins has stated that she wants to support those ranchers that are critical. They are literally a national security interest that we have, that we maintain that wonderful source of nutrition that we have.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we're interviewing Kathy Meehan. Kathy, your late great husband was one of the few doctors that I could find that would prescribe this controversial thing called effective treatments, and one of these controversial doctors that wouldn't push mRNA modifying nanotechnology on babies and other adults. And after his passing, may he rest in peace, you've continued with the practice, meehanmd.com. How are you?
Clay, I am so excited for 2026. And I know that Jim is smiling from up above at all of the amazing changes that are happening in the government and medical community to help make America healthy again. I am elated. I'm so excited.
Well, I've got two questions for you on today's rapid fire show. One,
okay.
RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who spoke at the Reawaken America tour on the very same stage as your husband, he has turned the food pyramid upside down, literally. They have turned the food pyramid upside down. So now, instead of emphasizing eating grains and cereal and these sorts of high carbohydrate things, now they're focusing on eating protein. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? You know the health space. What is your reaction to the reversal, the turning upside downing of the food pyramid?
You know what, Clay? That is one of the very best things that they can do to jumpstart America's health. And not only that, but that also, it helps eliminate some of that horrible big government industry, grain production that we know is not healthy. And it also helps our local farmers and people that are creating grass-fed beef and regenerative pork. And I'm telling you, we are on our way to a healthy America. I'm so elated that they turned that food pyramid upside down.
Kind of a follow-up question to that here with the limited time we have. Are you attacking my Lucky Charms? Because I believe that we should spend 90% of our waking hours in pursuit of those marshmallows. And you're saying we shouldn't be eating those things?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, no. What about Pop-Tarts? Come on, those Pop-Tarts. Come on, those are that's some of my favorite genetically modified food is Pop-Tarts.
That's a 4-letter word with more than 4 letters. That is horrible for your health. Come on. We need whole.
I don't eat that stuff. But my wife is the one. We got married. She's like, you are not going to be eating genetically modified, synthetic, whatever the heck. And I'm going, what happened now? And so she came after those Lucky Charms pretty quick. Pop-Tarts, you can do it. Red dye 40, are you after my red dye 40 too?
Yep, absolutely. Well, I will tell you that my sweet Jimmy, we had to get rid of Fruity Pebbles. That was his kryptonite. I mean, and it wasn't a little bowl of Fruity Pebbles. It was a big bowl of Fruity Pebbles. And that is out the door. So people stick with whole foods, nothing processed, not even healthy processed. You have to be careful on that. Even some of the healthy processed foods are not that healthy.
All right. Now, with limited time we have, final question here for you. You go to meehanmd.com. So many people are going to their doctor and they say, hey, doctor, I got a headache, got a sinus infection or something. Could you diagnose me to make sure I'm not going to die tomorrow or something? And the doctor says, yeah, sure. But first, let me put that mRNA modifying nanotechnology shot in your body. People take their kid. They say, look, my little Bobby here, little Billy, he hurt his ankle. And they go, yeah. The best way to fix the ankle is by injecting your kid with an mRNA modifying nanotechnology shot. There's still a big mRNA agenda pushing the vaccines. Tell us what solutions you provide for families all across these United States looking for a doctor that doesn't push mRNA modifying nanotechnology shots.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't push any shots. I will tell you that. And you know what? I have to say, congratulations. The CDC has reduced the recommended vaccines on the childhood vaccination schedule. They went from 85 down to 30. People are going to start freaking out over their current pediatricians. So guess what? You go to mehanmd.com. We don't push any vaccine. And we've got Mindset Kids, which is exploding right now because people still want a pediatrician. They just don't want a pediatrician that's going to fill them full of, toxic products.
So if people want to get a hold of you and they want to learn more about the solutions that you guys provide, tell us how they can get a hold of you guys. What do they need to do? What is step 1, maybe even step 2?
Step 1, mehanmd.com. Everything's there. You can even sign up for a free consult or give us a phone call, but it's mehanmd.com. Explore our site. Everything's there. One of my girls would be more than happy to help you.
Kathy, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, and I can't wait to have you on the show next week. And
you bet.
On with that family.
Will do. Thanks, Clay. Happy New Year.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What's up, Sean? Good to see you.
Good to be back, Joe. Thanks.
You're still alive. You've been eating nothing but meat, and you're still alive.
I am still alive.
Doubters be gone.
Yeah.
When I just eat mostly meat, I feel so much better. I mean, maybe it's anecdotal, maybe it's just me and you, maybe and many other people that do it, but there's something to it. But you're an extreme example because you have been doing it now for how many years?
So I'm starting my 8th year. So just
8th year.
Yeah. So when I came to see you last time, it was 6 years ago. So I'd been just finished 7 years now. So yeah, it's been a while.
And people should know that you're actually a doctor. You're an orthopedic surgeon, and you didn't at one point in time they took your license away because you were providing medical information, but you got it back?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing. So when I was practicing medicine, busy orthopedic surgeon, plugging away, doing a thing, and then I started realizing, hey, I can have people avoid surgery by changing their diet. Their pain went away. I was like, you don't need surgery. Well, that is not what hospitals want you to do.
You could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, Why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Started from the bottom, now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to.
Okay, Thrive Nation, here's the story, true story. One of my clients, Nace Roberts and Jordan Roberts, so they are brothers, they have beards, Nace and Jordan Roberts, they came into my office, and I'm going, you look like half of you is missing. And they said, Clay, we're on this all-meat diet thing. And I'm going, is that healthy? Is that good? Are you gonna make it? I don't know if this is a good deal, bad deal. I don't know enough about it, but what are your thoughts? And they said, no, this is a thing. This is a good thing. There's a guy who wrote a book about it. Let me pull this up real quick. And I thought, I don't know if this is a thing. And so they said it is a thing. And by the way, their company, it's called Grid Down Chow Down. They're kind of they have a meat bias. Okay, they sell meat that doesn't have mRNA technology in it. So when you go to Target and they sell synthetic meat or the genetically modified meat, they don't sell that kind of stuff. So they have a bias towards meat. And I thought to myself, they're good guys. They've been a client of mine for like 7 years. They like meat. I like meat. I'll look into it. So then I watched Dr. Sean Baker's interview with Joe Rogan, blew my mind. And then we were at the last conference, and this guy by the name of Rick, there he is on camera. Rick came up to me, and he said he lost 87 pounds in 6 months since hearing the presentation of Dr. Sean Baker and implementing it. Again, Dr. Sean Baker spoke at one of our in-person business workshops. And Slick Rick here, he's down 87 pounds in 6 months. 92 pounds in my face, 92 pounds. And then here's Thomas Crossan, the founder of a great company in Dallas, Texas, longtime client called Full Package Media. And Thomas, how much weight have you lost, sir? I think you're muted somehow. Did I mute you, or are you muted somehow? Let me see. There might be a mute there. That's not a passive aggressive editing thing from me. He's coming right back. So you lost how much, Rick?
I'm down 92 today in 171 days.
And so, Sean Baker, I watch you online. You are really, really aggressively stating the facts and warning people about the dangers of Ozempic and other weight loss medications. And I thought, sir, we have to have an opportunity for you to hear from actual people that are implementing your carnivore diet. Does it shock you, sir, to hear the kind of results that have been seen by Rick here?
No, not at all. I mean, this is kind of routine for me. I see people losing 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200, 300. We got a lady that lost 500 pounds in 2 years on this diet. So, yeah, I mean, weight loss is a pretty typical thing we see. And some people, and maybe Rick can speak to this, is you kind of find you get this point of satiety where you actually you don't crave all the garbage. Your appetite is finally, sated for the first time maybe in life. And so it becomes very easy when you're not starving all the time to sort of stick to a routine and meat. You'd mentioned Ozempic, and certainly, we know that people are losing weight on Ozempic, but there are some potentials for some real issues with that, whether they're really bad side effects with, gastroparesis or, suicidal thoughts or, intestinal obstructions, or I just saw a couple studies on blindness and erectile dysfunction. So there's issues with that. But the mechanism by which it works, it stimulates these hormones called incretin hormones in our body, GLP-1 being one of them. But meat actually does that naturally, and it does it, in a more physiologically appropriate manner, where it does it when it's supposed to, and then comes on, comes off. Whereas these drugs, it just stays on all the time, and so people are having issues turning up in the ER, throwing their guts out, throwing up like crazy, or they're losing all the muscle mass. And so this is maybe, there may be some things you can do prior to jumping on the drug bandwagon, which is unfortunately a criticism of the healthcare system. We just kind of drugs first, and we don't really give much to lifestyle.
Thomas, are you with us there? Is it working there,
Yeah,
sir?
can you hear me?
Okay, yes. So I got to ask you, how much weight have you lost there, sir?
81 pounds as of this morning. So,
okay, so I'm going to try to tee this up because I really want to hear from you guys, and I don't want to hear from myself. So first question, Thomas, how long have you been on this diet, this carnivore diet that you're on now?
So I've been doing it kind of on and off for 2 years, but then in the last like 90 days, really been doing just 100%. I was doing more kind of paleo meat based before, and then just switched to just 100% meat, eggs, just animal products. And in 70 days, I've lost 30 pounds.
And Rick, how long have you been on the diet again? And how much weight have you lost?
So I started July 1st. I was at 233.2 pounds or something. And this morning I was just under, or I was 323.3. And this morning I'm down like 92 pounds. I'm under 100 or 232 pounds.
So when did you decide, you're at the conference, Dr. Sean Baker is speaking, when did it occur to you where you're going, you know what, I'm going to do this diet?
Well, like I said, he was speaking and I was sitting there in the audience. I ordered his book online. We left there on Friday. It showed up at my house on Saturday, and I hate reading books. And I made it through about chapter 6, and I'm like, this just makes sense because I was never one to eat vegetables to begin with. But I ate all the standard American crap that was there, and the carbs, potatoes, corn, everything, fatten up a pig. That's what I was eating. So I decided July 1st I was going. My wife decided to do it with me. She's down 40 pounds and I'm down 92 pounds.
And so, Thomas, when did you decide to get on the carnivore diet?
About 2 years ago is when I really started at least meat based, and then I really just got to the point where was like, okay, it seems like there's no reason to be eating the vegetables and that kind of thing, and just went to strictly meat. I've followed Dr. Baker for years and years, and one of my doctors, he's like, oh, you should only eat red meat once a month at max, and then I went to it, and as I've been doing it, checked my CRP levels like a week ago, and they're the lowest they've been since 2019. So
now, one final question, then I'm going to go back to Dr. Baker here. So many people say, well, Clay, I want to do the carnivore diet. The questions I got asked a lot at the conference is people would say, hey, if you get a chance to ask Dr. Sean Baker, when I go on the carnivore diet, how much vegetables can I eat? Like, how many can I eat? If I'm on the carnivore diet, how much cereal can I have? If I'm on it, the carnivore diet, if I'm on a strictly carnivore diet, how much salad can I have when I go to Outback Steakhouse? What's the maximum amount of potatoes I can have with the steak at Outback? So, Dr. Baker, I just want to ask you, if someone's on the carnivore diet, what's the maximum amount of, or how much vegetables should they be eating with the meat on the carnivore only diet?
Well, if it's technically a carnivore diet, you're eating none. Essentially. Now, again, the nice thing about it is it's very clear. You're either on it or you're off it. Now, is it going to kill somebody to have a piece of lettuce once in a while? For most people, no. But there are people, honestly, that, for whatever reason, things we would otherwise consider normal, healthy foods, unprocessed fruits and vegetables, can actually be problematic for certain people. And this really gets into people with certain autoimmune conditions, certain gut issues. We've just published a number of scientific papers, case series on, inflammatory bowel disease, anorexia, anxiety, depression, and then there'll be one soon coming out on multiple sclerosis. And so we're seeing for certain medical conditions, it's pretty good. It makes sense to be strict. For some people that are dealing with things like food addiction, the strictness just makes it easier. Some people cannot be, moderators. They've got to abstain for a while. So I think in the strictest sense of a carnivore diet, there's no fruits, there's no vegetables. It's pretty much animal products. It's meat, it's eggs, it's some people dairy products, it's seafood, things like that. However, could you get healthy on a diet where you're mostly meat and a few other foods? Certainly, many people can. Although, like I said, this is so simple. I mean, my dog could do it, and my dog does. I mean, it's not hard to explain. Hey, just eat a bunch of meat every day, and that's it. And it's as simple as that. I look at, when I look at, feeding of animals throughout the world, it's not complicated. I mean, we're the only species that needs menus and apps and all this, this crazy sort of complexity when it should be just eat, and it's simple as that. And I think these guys will probably attest to the simplicity and the actual, again, satiety that comes to this.
So I gotta go back to you, Thomas. So you're on this diet. I mean, you're living it, you're into it, you're doing it, you're seeing the results. But there had to be like some inner dialogue maybe going on, some inner thoughts. I don't know. When you're going, I'm on the carnivore diet, but I'm going all in on the carnivore diet, which you've done now. Was there can you kind of walk us through the inner dialogue or what you were saying to yourself or thinking, or just walk us through? Because there's somebody watching this right now that needs to hear this.
I think one of the biggest things was, like Dr. Baker said, is like it's hard. It's easy to follow. It's not one of these diets where you have to count calories or think about every single food and what's the glycemic index of it and all that stuff. It's like meat, eggs, maybe cheese. And that makes it easy. So I just was like, okay, let's make it black and white, jump on it, see how it goes, test blood work, that sort of thing, and see how it goes. So for me, that was one of the easiest things, is just the ease of following it. And I like steak.
So let me ask you this. So Rick, you're going to, let's say, Outback tonight. Okay. You're going to Texas Roadhouse tonight. You're going somewhere to eat. I mean, you guys are both entrepreneurs. Thomas has a wonderful company called fullpackagemedia.com. They offer real estate photography solutions for people in Dallas. I believe also in Austin, Texas. It's fullpackagemedia.com, fullpackagemedia.com. You are the HVAC master, which leads me to believe you're somehow involved in HVAC. So when you're out there on a busy schedule, what are you eating? What are you eating?
I love going to Texas Roadhouse, and they don't have it on their menu, but our local Texas Roadhouse usually has larger cuts of steak. So I'll get the 24-ounce Fort Worth ribeye, or sometimes they'll have some up there that are 28, 29 ounces. When I first started doing carnivore, I'd go out at lunch when I'd have a lunch meat or that and eat a 16-ounce ribeye, and that was the only thing on my plate. And then I'd go home and I'd cook another one. And to Dr. Baker's, your satiety level, I would get stuffed, and I would leave this little 2-inch cube of steak in the middle of my plate, and I'm like, you hit a wall, and your body says, "Hey, I'm done eating." And that beautiful, tasty, juicy ribeye all of a sudden wants to make you gag, and you hit that level, and you don't need to eat anymore, and you're not hungry. You're not up an hour and a half later grabbing a bag of chip and dip because you're having a sugar drop, carb spike and everything. So I started very quickly doing OMAD because it is one meal a day. And I had my butcher cut me some 1.5-inch ribeyes. And, once a day I have like a 28-ounce ribeye for dinner, and that's all I'll eat all day long.
Dr. Baker, I know someone's watching this going, what? Is this healthy? Are they going to die? Now you, sir, you sat down with a very skeptical Joe Rogan many years ago, or a few years ago, and when you're watching the interview, watching his body language and yours, you were bringing the facts, you were presenting data. He was being respectful, but you could tell he was very skeptical of what you were saying. You challenged him or talked to him or convinced him or something. He decided to get on the carnivore diet. He had phenomenal results. Could you tell us what kind of feedback has the carnivore diet had? Or what kind of feedback are you getting from America since going on those Joe Rogan interviews?
Yeah, like you said, the very first time he was obviously skeptical. He looked at me like I had a third eyeball, in my head because I was talking crazy talk, which is what it sounds like the first time you hear it. Second time I went on Rogan's podcast, very different story. He'd experienced it. He had friends that had done it. He realized that this, I wasn't just making this stuff. It actually works. And so I think what we've seen over the last couple of years, in many ways, to sort of parallel what's going on politically in this country. A lot of people are sort of skeptical of, various, entities and organizations which we once held with high esteem. We're kind of like, wait a minute, you guys are not telling the truth, and you're leaving out some details. So I think we've seen a general trend where more and more people, at the very least, have come to start to believe that no, red meat is not killing us. It's not bad for us. It's not killing the planet. It's actually a health food. And so I think we're getting that seen by more and more people. Probably, a significant portion of the country believes that, and certainly a lot of them are seeing the results, because it's undeniable this time. If you just quickly, you can go on any sort of social media platform and type in carnivore diet, you're going to see obviously the critics, but you're going to see just thousands upon thousands of testimonials where this works, and it just does. It's the only reason I promote something this sort of thing is because it clearly works, and it works for many peoples of all various stripes, shapes, sizes, ages, sex, cultural backgrounds, whatever it is. It just plain works. And so I mean, I think at the end of the day, good things usually rise to the top, and I think that's what we're starting to see.
Now, what I'm going to do here, just to spice it up a little bit today, is I'm going to pull up our webpage here for the Thrivetime show for our in-person workshop. We have Eric Trump joining us. That's President Trump's son, who, by the way, eats a primarily carnivore diet. I've seen him actually lose almost 40 some odd pounds on the Reawaken tour by eating pretty much only meat. Then you have Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So anybody watching this right now, if you want to join this diet, here's what we're going to do. Right now, okay, so we're recording this on December 19th, so we have 76 days until the event. If you will join the carnivore diet, whatever that means, so these are the steps you have to do here. So you go to Amazon, okay, and we're going to buy a copy of the book here. So we're all going to Amazon. And Slick Rick, you bought a copy of this book. Thomas, do you have a copy of this book, The Carnivore Diet?
I do.
Okay, so this is what you do. What you do is you buy a copy of The Carnivore Diet. That's step one. So what do? You buy a copy. You say, well, where do I find it? You go to Amazon. You type in Sean Baker Carnivore Diet. We'll put a link on the show notes. There you go. You buy a copy. That's step one. You buy a copy of the book. Now, step two, what you're going to do is just text me proof that you bought the book. You say, text you. How do I have your number? I shall give you my number. My cell phone number that I keep private between you and me and everybody is 918-851. That's 918-851. Let me pull it up real quick here. It's on the screen, 918-851-0102. So step one, you buy a copy of the book. Step two, you send me a screenshot or proof of purchase. Then you're entered in for a chance to win the backstage pass to meet Dr. Sean Baker, Eric Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, and a great team of speakers we're bringing in here. So all you got to do is buy the book and text me proof that you bought it, and you'll be entered in for a chance to win a backstage pass, so you can talk to Dr. Baker, you can talk to Eric Trump, you can talk to Robert Kiyosaki. And then I would invite you to start this diet. But I think there's somebody out there, Thomas, who's smart. And I'm going to pick on you, Thomas, because you're one of the smartest people I know. You're a smart guy. And smart people, you're researching. Thomas, for anybody who doesn't know, Thomas is a researcher. Thomas, you'd put a lot of research into your company. That's just the way you think. I would describe you as an intellectual who also does things. You're a smart guy. You think, you contemplate. There's got to be somebody out there, Thomas, who's watching the show, who's smart like you are and is smart like you were, and they're going, I just all meat. I mean, I don't know. Will I get abducted by an alien? Is it going to kill me? I don't know. Is it safe? Is it healthy? But Bill Gates says I shouldn't eat meat at all. What do you say, Thomas, to the intellectual skeptic?
I think I would say, if you just look at it from a fundamental standpoint of how long animals and humans have been on the earth, and we've eaten meat that whole time, and we're all still here. And if you look at most of the health problems that, the modern American diet and processed foods and sugar and all those things have brought into place, is like, it just, and that's what made me switch to just saying, okay, I'm going to go all in and do it 100%. Is it just seemed logical of like, meat's been here, humans have been here, we've been eating meat for millions of years. It's probably not going to kill you. So I think if you're on the fence, it's like, just try it. Like you're not, I know people worry about like cholesterol and stuff like that, but if you try it for a month, 3 months, 6 months, like it doesn't seem like it should take much to convince you to try it versus trying eating, Lucky Charms every morning and McDonald's for dinner and, that kind of stuff.
Now, we have a clip here, Dr. Baker, I want to play for you. This is from America's health expert, Bill Gates, just incredible individual. Let me play this here. He's just incredible, really a specimen when it comes to health and fitness. Here we go.
Cows and other grass-eating species have a digestion system that emits methane, and methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas. And so cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. And so we need to change
cows.
cows, just cows alone.
How are we going to do that?
Well, actually, of all the categories, the one that has gone better than I would have expected 5 years ago is this work to make what's called artificial meat. And so you have people like Impossible or Beyond Meat, both of which I invested in.
You eat it as well, and you like it?
Absolutely.
You do.
You can go to Burger King and buy the Impossible Burger.
All right. Is it healthier for you or just healthier for the atmosphere?
It's slightly healthier for you in terms of less cholesterol. It's, of course, dramatic reduction in methane emissions, animal cruelty, manure management, and the pressure that meat consumption puts on land use.
There is, of course, a clear financial motive to Gates's plan.
Oh, come on. There's not a clear financial motive for Bill Gates to tell you to eat synthetic meat. Dr. Baker, what's your reaction, sir?
Well, I mean, the one on the good side, he's no longer quoting this livestock's long shadow thing that says 14 or 18% of the greenhouse gases come from. So at least that's on the pro side. He's more in line with what's actually going. And we do know that, cows emit something like 5% of our greenhouse gas, actually all animal agriculture. But the reality is that is biogenic methane, which has been going on since whenever it started. We've had animals, large grazing animals doing that. That methane is short-lived. It goes in the atmosphere, turns back into carbon dioxide and water, and then it feeds and waters the plants. And, that's the cycle. That's a cycle of nature. This is literally what the earth is roaming, grazing animals on the planet. And so, I mean, what he's doing is basically creating a solution to a problem that doesn't really exist and financially benefiting from that. So, I mean, you can see, this is an older clip, so you can see what's happened to Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger, particularly Beyond Meat, which had its IPO several years ago, and now it's gone from a $250 stock price to like $3 or $4. And so it's probably going to go bankrupt unless the government props it up. These alternative meat products are in no way healthier than meat. There's no evidence that they're any more environmentally sustainable. In many cases, they're likely less sustainable. And to make the assumption that just because I'm not eating a steak means no animals are dying, there couldn't be anything farther from the truth. You can talk to anybody that raises crops; they will tell you that by the use of pesticides and just preparing the land, there's massive death of species going on. So it's all sort of it's come across, it's portrayed as altruism, but it's really greed. It's not like we want to save the planet by doing this. It's just we're gonna create a new market and take your money that way, and it's not gonna help you in any way. It's really not gonna help the planet any better way. So I mean, the better thing we can do is actually put more cows in the ground and then just graze them in a way that tends to be more favorable to the land, and that's clearly demonstrated and doable. So that's the real solution here.
So let me tee this up again here real quick. Let me tee this up again. So for anybody out there, you say, well, I do want to win a backstage pass to meet Eric Trump. Again, you say, how much does it cost again? All you got to do is you go up to Amazon. Okay. You search for the carnivore diet. You buy the book. Boom. Step one. Step two, you text me proof that you bought the book. Now you're entered in for the chance. You're entered in for a chance. All you got to do is just text me 918-851-0102. Just text me that you have bought the book. Screenshot this. By the way, we helped Kash Patel become a best-selling author by doing this. Kash Patel went to the top of Amazon in one day by doing this. We have helped Peter Navarro. We helped Peter Navarro become a best-selling author by doing this. I am doing this simply because I really do deeply care about Thomas and I deeply care about Rick. And you guys have told me, I didn't call you and say, hey, are you guys on the carnivore diet? You guys we're just talking about things. And I told you guys that Sean Baker was coming back to one of our workshops. And Thomas, you said, Clay, I've been on the carnivore diet. And again, how much weight have you lost, Thomas?
81 pounds.
So there's people watching this who are like, I just have concerns. And I'm sure there's people around you, Thomas, people in your life, family, friends, neighbors. I'm sure they've asked you questions. What are the areas of pushback that you may have gotten from family, friends, concerned people that actually care about you that maybe said, I don't know, is that good for you? Have you had those kind of questions?
Definitely have. I'd say probably the number one thing that people talk about is cholesterol. And, they point to that as an immediate, like, hey, your cholesterol is going to go up, especially with eggs, red meat. And so that's what I hear the most is, well, your cholesterol is going to skyrocket and you're going to need to go on a statin. And, I don't I don't really worry about it. I'd be interested to hear what Dr. Baker has to say, because mine has gone up a little bit. Nothing crazy, but went up from like my LDL from 122 to 140 in 6 months, which I know is not crazy. But my triglycerides have gone way down. HDL's gone up. So that's the biggest thing that I hear from people.
Dr. Baker, hey, Vanessa, come here. My wife is in the studio. Come here real quick here. We got to get you in real quick. Throw on some headphones. You got to get her. Okay, so Dr. Baker, got to ask you real quick here. Will someone's brain explode, and will they die of cholesterol if they eat only meat for 30 days?
No, unlikely. And just I know that was kind of asked in a little humorous way, but the reality is we do sometimes see people's cholesterol rise on low carb diets in general, and we now kind of have a pretty good idea why that is. And it's not because they're consuming more saturated fat. It's really associated with how lean they get. So as we get leaner and leaner, and we rely more on fat for energy rather than glucose for energy, our body just has to traffic more lipid in the blood vessels so we can feed our cells. And the question is that reason for high cholesterol different from someone who's, say, obese and just eating too much energy? They both can cause cholesterol to go up, but there's two different reasons for that. And we're getting more and more evidence to show that when you become leaner and less dependent on glucose and you have higher lipids trafficking, there's something called a lipid energy model. There's about 10 scientific papers on this that have been published now, that there's probably good evidence increasingly, and we're doing more and more studies on this to show that that may not be the risk factor for cardiovascular disease that we once thought it was. So there, like many things, there's some nuance here. And generally, I would say both of these guys, probably their quality of life and their overall health has improved probably pretty dramatically. Weight or whatever it is pretty generally health promoting.
Now, Vanessa, just real quick, this is Thomas Cross. You know Thomas.
I know Thomas.
He's
yes.
down 81 pounds by eating only meat. Look
Great
at this
job.
guy.
Congratulations.
He's unbelievable.
Thank you.
I was trying to focus in the camera. I was trying to zoom in to see him. I'm like, where is he? I know he's in the studio. Where is he? And then you've got over here Slick Rick. Slick Rick, how much weight have you lost in 6 months?
92 pounds.
Wow.
And these homeboys are eating only meat all the time. So I'd like for you to bring a voice of sanity here and perhaps a little estrogen. You know, you're a mom. We've got 5 kids. What question or questions would you have for Dr. Baker about the idea of eating only meat all the time?
Well, I 100% believe that it works. And I'm just an oddball where I'm one of those kids who was super picky, never had a bite of steak in my entire life. The kid, so I'm not a vegetarian. It's not because I feel bad. I'll eat eggs. I'll eat chicken if it's not weird. It's immensely in my mind. So I think for someone like me, maybe it's the most of, I try to add protein powder in and collagen and eggs.
Dr. Baker, can't we just take a perch in a pitcher, like in a blender, put like a perch in a pitcher and we blend it up and just have her liquefy and puree fish and meat and that kind of thing? Or what would be the solution for somebody as troubled as my wife?
Well, I mean, you could do that. I don't know how it tastes.
I know that works. I just have a mental thing. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, some of it, it depends on how you grew up. And my wife, to be honest, she's from France and she was vegetarian for like 20 years and she still eats steak now, but she will not cook it. She has to have it well done, which drives me crazy a little bit, but because she just wasn't used to that idea of thinking it's blood. And by the way, there's no blood in meat. Meat isn't, that red stuff is not blood, it's myoglobin. So it's not actual blood that people worry about. I think that, while many of us on this carnivore diet do consume a lot of like beef and lamb, particularly, primarily beef, there's people that have had success consuming, eggs and pork and fish and things like that. So it's doable from that way. The problem that you often run into is because fat becomes so valuable on this diet, red meat just tends to have a little bit more fat. Cows are fattier animals than, say, chickens. And so you run into issues of not consuming enough fat. And so then you have to augment energy. Now you can add butter and all this stuff on there, one way to do it. But a lot of people, they just find it's easier to consume carbohydrates. And so that's why, if we look at like the history of humans, we hunted for a while, we killed these big animals, they kind of ran out. We had to end up hunting skinnier animals, which didn't have as much fat. So then we had to augment our energy supply with more and more plant products. And then we developed agriculture. And then we kind of went downhill as a species since that time. We got smaller, our brains shrunk, our bones got weaker. It helped us, agriculture certainly helped us to grow societally, we had civilization and allowed for us to stay in one place and not have to kind of roam around chasing animal herds. But it had an individual detriment to our overall, human health. So, like some people, I'm sure, Chloe, you have excellent access to really high quality meat. I mean, sometimes like my wife in particular, she still doesn't like the fat. If I cook a ribeye steak, she's cutting all the fat off, which drives me crazy. So I get around that by getting like a really well marbled, like a USDA prime, maybe a tenderloin, which has more fat marbled, but it doesn't have those pockets of fat, which can be off-putting for some people. So getting enough fat in there if you're going to go carnivore. Now, if you're not, just including more protein would help many people.
That'd be the road for me, is just kind of try to
Well, I'm
integrate.
trying to convince you to switch to a carnivore diet. I'm trying to convince Thomas to convince you to switch to a carnivore diet. No, I'm just kidding. So, Slick Rick, I got to ask you, you've lost, again, I'm just taking notes here. I want to make sure I'm not exaggerating. 92 pounds in how many days?
171 days today.
So what questions or concerns do people in your life have when they go, Rick, are you only going to eat meat again? What questions do they have?
Oh, so many people. They bring up the cholesterol. I had blood work done 75 days in, and my cholesterol dropped 30 points. Doctor was ecstatic. My insulin had dropped and everything. Of course, everyone's like, oh, you're not eating any fiber. You're going to have colon cancer and all that. And he'll contest. When you eat nothing but meat, it's pure nutrition. When it comes to, having your bowel movement in the morning, there's not a lot there because your body absorbs it. When you eat all the standard American crap, you end up with a lot of crap.
Oh, okay. So, Thomas, I'm going to give you an opportunity, and I want my wife to think about the perfect question to paint Dr. Baker into the corner here. So, Thomas, what question would you have for Dr. Baker about the carnivore diet, sir?
Yeah, so I think my biggest question, so I have ankylosing spondylitis. I was diagnosed with that when I was like 15. And I've been on Celebrex ever since then. And curious to hear your thoughts on like managing that with carnivore. And obviously the goal there would be to get off medication. I just was able to cut my dose in half a couple weeks ago because that CRP number was so low. And again, my doctor for that is don't eat red meat once a month. That's it. That's max. So curious to hear your thoughts on that and kind of how to manage that, and if that's possible to hopefully get medication free with that.
Yeah, so those aren't familiar with ankylosing spondylitis. It's what we call an inflammatory arthropathy. So kind of like in the category of like rheumatoid arthritis, we have these autoimmune inflammation-driven arthritis conditions. And carnivore diet has been wonderful for allowing people to see their inflammation drop. As he just pointed out, his CRP was very, very low, which is what we'd expect to see. If red meat were inflammatory, we wouldn't see that. We would expect it to go high. So as those inflammatory markers go down and your symptoms go away, the back pain goes away, maybe if you have SI joint pain or something I would expect you to be able to continue to taper and hopefully come off those drugs. We see that all the time now. Again, what I will say is that when we have people with these medical conditions, whether it's ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, ankylosing spondylitis, rheumatoid arthritis, it usually takes 6 months, a year of a fairly strict diet to sort of put that completely in remission, get people off medications when it does occur. And then at that point, some people are able to loosen things up a little bit. They're able to bring some things back in. So I don't sort of sit there as this is what you're going to have to eat for the rest of your life. I consider a carnivore diet a therapeutic intervention. Minimum for most people is about 3 months. Some people need it 3 months, 6 months, a year. And then most people that do this over the long term will include periodically things here. And they're still going to eat a lot of meat. I mean, they're still going to be eating mostly meat, if not completely. Some people just like it because for the sake of being easy. But I mean, yes, you probably, because taking Celebrex every day, it's a COX-2 non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, it has downstream effects, kidney effects. It has effects on our overall health. So we want to get off medications whenever possible. There's no advantage to being on meds when you don't need to be on them, for sure. I think that's a pretty safe statement. So if you can get off that, if you got the cooperation of your doctor, I'm going to put in one plug for our company, Rivero, which we are a digital health company licensed in all 50 states. And we have physicians that actually do this on a daily basis. They deprescribe, they work with patients. Some of them are on carnivore, some are on some other, close version. And that's what we do. And it's been really, really fun to watch these people.
Real quick, I'm taking notes here, Dr. Baker. So I'm hacking away in the mainframe as you are sharing here. What's that web address there, sir? What's that web address?
So it's called Rivero, Revero, REVERO.com.
Okay, so that's Rivero.
And we are signing people up left and right. We just hired a bunch more positions, and so we do this, and we just basically we provide nutrition plans. We provide physician support. We provide coaches that interact with people on a daily basis if they need it. I mean, literally, they're contacting you every day to make sure you are getting your questions answered, getting support you need. We're checking labs all the time. We're checking feedback from our patients every day. We send them monitors to monitor stuff, and it's really. And I know, you said Eric Trump's going to be there. I know we've got this Make America Healthy Again thing, and this is a way to do this. This is a way that I'm very passionate about, is that we are, actually putting into practice what we've been preaching for many years. Because I've been a critic of the healthcare system just because I think we're incentivized the wrong way. We're doing all this reactionary, pill for every ill type of thing, when the reality is we should be fixing people's health so we don't have so many sick people. We wouldn't have to spend $4.5 trillion a year if we didn't have, 60, 70% of the country with chronic disease. And if we can fix that, it's going to go a long way to make our country better.
Now, I'm going to pull this up real quick before we go to Vanessa here. This is just an idea. I don't know if this will work, Thomas, if you're okay with this. But, now that you've lost all this weight, I mean, you're looking handsome. So if you could just kind of change it, Dr. Baker, if you could change the way you say it, you could say, Rivero, the health company. And you could put Thomas in as the model. Look at this. Look at Thomas. You get Thomas in here. Do you want to try Rivero? Yes. It's like, you want to get the sexy. See, Thomas, you could be like the male model for, all you got to do is, because Thomas looks like he would speak that way. If you didn't know him, you would think that he's
kind of swarthy looking. Yeah. He's got
check out Rivero. He creates a website to lose the weight. Yes.
I'm ready. I'm on the wait list. I'm ready to go.
Okay, so Vanessa, I know that you weren't planning on hopping on today's show, but I could see that you were behind me back there. I had to get you in here. What question would you have? Final question.
So, how much is of a concern, or do you think it's a concern? I think it's really important to eat high quality meats, like you mentioned. I know when I buy ground beef, it's grass fed. And now you hear about, of course, all the shots that they're giving the animals and mRNA injections, and I know hormones. How picky do you have to be about the meats you select, when you're eating only meat?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's, I think you can look at it from two ways, from an individual way and then as a societal way. I mean, are we, like I said, there's this Bovaer, substance they're going to feed the animals. This is something Bill Gates, I don't think he's directly invested, but he's investing in similar type things. And again, is it a solution to a problem we don't have? Is it unnecessarily driving up the costs and making it more expensive for farmers? Probably. I mean, it's going to put a lot of them out of business, to be honest. And so we're going to lose our access to that. On an individual level, I literally see people going to Walmart and buying meat and losing 100 pounds like these guys do. So, I mean, on a more sort of macro level, on a population level, I said, yeah, you can just eat what you can afford. And if you can't afford the best high-end stuff, you don't have to do that. Now, again, if your ethics and your beliefs and you want to promote ranching or farming in a certain way, then absolutely it makes sense to spend the extra couple bucks there to do that. But I mean, we're waiting on studies. I mean, I know some of the guys are doing some of the research on this, and we don't have any good studies on humans yet because it's just hard to get this stuff funded because everybody's putting their money in for drug development, and these types of things don't make a lot of money for people. So it's I can certainly say, don't feel guilty if you can't afford that stuff. If you can, and you certainly want to help these ranchers out, I would say buy direct from a rancher. I mean, it's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
It'll keep these guys in business longer. Like you guys are in Oklahoma, which is a huge cattle state. I know I was working with Clay Stairs on perhaps, having some Oklahoma folks do some research around this stuff. So it is probably more important, I should say, just based on the anatomy, the physiology and the anatomy of the animals, that you eat high quality fish, chicken, and pork, just because they're monogastric animals as opposed to ruminants, and they have less tolerance to crappy diet showing up in their meat. Whereas cows they're magic animals. They really are. I mean, they're just like the perfect species, and they can just turn whatever into really high quality, nutritious food for us, which is really cool.
Now, just to be clear, folks, I want people to understand this. Thomas, his company, it's called Full Package Media. They do real estate photography. He is not a model. Vanessa, you know this. Thomas is not a model. So I don't want people going to Full Package Media going, Excuse me, can I get the Rivero model? Is it possible? Can I hire him to come out and do my? No, it's not a modeling service. They do real estate photography, right, Thomas? You're not offering. I know the inquiries have really gone up for your male modeling services. You're not offering modeling services. It's just real estate photography, correct?
Not currently, but who knows?
Now, again, that's Rivero, folks. That's the website, Rivero. Yes. Check out Rivero if you want to get the sexy. Yes. Now, Slick Rick, you're a beautiful man, and you came to our business conference, and it was the craziest thing ever because I recognized your face, but I didn't. And you've lost how much weight? 92 pounds?
92 pounds, 171 days.
Craziness. So, final question. What final question do you have for Dr. Baker there? And then we'll do one final question from Thomas. What final question? Because everybody's online asking, if I'm on the carnivore diet, what can I eat? We established that early. You just only eat meat. Next question people say, well, is eating the carnivore diet healthy? I think we've covered that. But what question would you have for Dr. Sean Baker?
I don't know if I got a question, but I'd say anybody who's interested in it. I think all of us have done all the major diets, the Weight Watchers, the intermittent fasting, all that. You pay money, you get on a plan, you restrict yourself, you're miserable on it. When you get off, you're like, God, I can eat again now. And then your weight comes back on. The thing about carnivore, you get on it, you're full. You're not, your diet's restricted, but you're not walking around in a hunger state. And I'm 51 years old. And I've never experienced hunger because I was a clock eater. 8:30 in the morning, I'm planning what I'm going to eat at 11 o'clock and who with and where we're going to go. And then calling the wife, what are we having for dinner? And then, snacks in the evening. And when I started carnivore, all that just kind of washed away. My whole relationship with food changed. And it wasn't all about just eating to be eating. You start learning that it's there for nutrition and food. And as people see you change, they start asking you questions. They're intrigued by it. I get people call me a couple times, and you start coaching them through, and then they always ask the question, can I still have a baked potato? Like, you can have whatever you want. It depends on the results you want to get. Nobody's going to come to your house and say, you're not a true carnivore. I have a cousin, his wife, and I'm curious about this because I hear so many doctors' opinions that I know from my own thing is like BS. Because I got one, he's 5'7" and he's 260 pounds and he's got a hernia. Doctor wants him to lose weight and they recommended gastric bypass. I'm like, how ridiculous is that?
Now, my wife, Dr. Baker, she stays thin by smoking. She started smoking about 6 months ago. That's to smoke her way to thin. That's what she does. She wasn't sure where to start. So she went and said, what do you recommend? I'm thinking about getting addicted to this. Just mess with it. So Thomas, what final question would you have for Dr. Baker, sir?
Yeah, I think my final question, and you kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, and I've heard you put out some stuff on the lean mass hyperresponder type person, individual. Is that, do you only see that in people that are, below a certain body fat percentage, or is that people that are kind of on that path to losing weight with any sort of low, no carb, carnivore based diet?
Yeah, that again goes to the cholesterol question. And so, like, as to the point of Rick, he said, my cholesterol actually went down. The reason it went down is because he was probably of a BMI, probably above class 2 obesity. And so when we see people that are significantly obese, when they go carnivore or low carb, their cholesterol usually comes down. But once they get to a certain threshold and they start getting like below BMI 25 and they start getting leaner and leaner, that's when we often see the cholesterol going up. And that gets into the question, is that dangerous or not? And that's where the answer is, we don't know for sure. It probably isn't, though, or at least there's evidence to suggest it's not. I think that, what we do show, and there was a really nice meta-analysis done in January of this year, 2024. They looked at 41 randomized controlled trials of low carb, and they found the biggest relationship, again, was lean body mass, most predictor for high cholesterol, higher body mass, it either doesn't matter or it actually goes down. And then, it's one of those things that, and saturated fat had very little impact. In fact, you can go on a low carb diet and eat all like olive oil and unsaturated fat, nuts and things like that, and you'll see your cholesterol go up. And people have demonstrated that. My friend Nick Norwitz, who is a Oxford PhD, Harvard MD, has shown that eating Oreo cookies, believe it or not, he actually was able to lower his cholesterol by eating Oreo cookies just because of this lipid energy model and what it would predict. And so he went out and he ate 12 Oreo cookies a day and dropped his cholesterol by 200 points just by eating Oreo cookies. Now, I'm not advocating for eating Oreo cookies as a health food, but it's just to demonstrate that this is what's going on. We know why it's happening now.
Now, let me pull this up here. Final thoughts. I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. If you want to meet the Rivero, and you want to meet, that would be Dr. Sean Baker, the Rivero, or you want to meet the man who wants to be the male model, potentially, who should be the male model for Rivero, and you want to meet Eric Trump, and you want to meet Robert Kiyosaki, and you want to meet my wife, who's been smoking her way to thin for several. No. If you want to meet the dream team, all you got to do is step one. I got the steps here. Okay. So step one, you go to Amazon, you find the carnivore diet. This is how you win a backstage pass. You go to carnivore diet, you go to Amazon, you look for the carnivore diet, you buy a copy and you screenshot it. If you, for some reason, can't figure out how to screenshot it, draw me a picture of you buying the book. Do whatever you have, and then just text me to my cell phone number. We'll keep this private between you and me and everybody. That's my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. You text me proof of purchase, boom, you have a chance to win a backstage pass. As of right now, as of this morning, we have 214 tickets remaining for our in-person workshop. That's going to be accessible. That's the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. It's going to be March 6th and 7th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I affectionately refer to it as Tulsa Jerusalem. March 6th and 7th, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Everybody out there, you should come to this event. But if you want to win if you want to earn a chance to win a backstage pass, all you got to do is buy the book. That's the Carnivore Diet on Amazon. Text me proof of purchase to my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. And if you want to learn more about Rivero, and I know you do, what you do is you just go to Rivero.com. And if you feel like Thomas should replace this guy, I don't even trust this guy. I don't know who this guy is. But if you want Thomas to replace this guy, just text me to my cell phone number, folks. Seriously, just if you say, this guy has to get replaced with the true face of Rivero, Thomas Crossan. Just text my cell phone number, 918-851-0102, and I'll make sure that all of your feedback gets directly to Sean Baker, because I know he wants to spend his day talking to you about who his male model should be for his website, Rivero.com. Dr. Baker, you're the star of today's show, sir. I'll give you the final word, final 30 seconds. What say you?
Well, I say thank you. I'd love to see folks there in March in person. So if you haven't already purchased your ticket and you want to go get it, because I know they're going to go fast, and maybe we'll eat a steak together while we're there. Big thing, don't outsource your health to someone else. As a physician, I can tell you I care about my patients, but I only have like 15 minutes, a couple times a year to care about you. You got to live with the results 24/7. This is worth trying. You'll learn a lot of stuff about yourself, and it's very educational. And as what Rick was saying, you'll change your relationship with food. I think that's essential. So many of us have bad relationship with food. This fixes it in many ways. So give it a try and have great holidays.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thomas Crossan. Thank you, Slick Rick. I really do appreciate you. Yep. I mean this, folks. I was so excited to hear that Rick, he came up to me, he said, Clay, I've been on the carnivore diet since the workshop. I've lost over 80 pounds, mind blowing. I'm on the phone with Thomas talking about your results, Rick. He said, I've been on the carnivore diet. I'm just super excited to hear success stories. And if you guys want to learn about the controversial approach my wife has taken to smoking her way to thin, you can talk to her about that at our workshop. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Clay.
Hello, I'm Jordan, and this is my brother. And I'm Nace, and we're at the Grid Down Chow Down. And this is Larry, who is a local rancher that we've partnered with. So we like to partner with the ranchers just like Larry to provide the best meat for Grid Down Chow Down. Now, Larry, you've been ranching for over 4 generations, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm 3rd generation, my son's 4th generation, and I've got some grandkids that are 5th generation.
Man, that's awesome.
We've been here for quite a while, yeah.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Clay, my honor to be on your show, and thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations.
Sean, guess what's happening? April 9th and 10th, 2026.
We are probably going to have an amazing business conference here at Tulsa Jerusalem.
Yes, we're joined by Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is going to be joining us right here at the Thrivetime Show World Headquarters, June 5th and 6th. He's a very successful football player, obviously a Heisman Award winner, but he's also a very successful entrepreneur. Now, when you work with real clients, Sean, real clients you really work with to help them grow their companies, do you ever hear a business owner tell you that they didn't have time to get something done?
Every day.
How often is not having enough time a problem for business owners?
All the time. It's like maybe 90% of the issues as people are trying to grow their company.
Well, Tim Tebow is going to come join us here at the in-person Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, and he's going to teach us time management and his approach to personal self-discipline and getting things done. Also at the workshop, I'll put up on the website so people can see it here. Also at the 2-day interactive workshop, Sean, we are going to be, there it is. We're going to be teaching accounting, systems creation, marketing, human resources, how to hire, inspire, train, and retain great people, accounting, social media advertising, search engine optimization. Sean, what's the area where most clients ask you for help the most? Is it generating leads? Is it hiring people? What's the biggest issue that most business owners have by default before they come to one of our workshops?
Well, I think it's management, because time is the most valuable resource for these business owners, and being able to manage their time is the first thing. Once they get that under control, then generally the numbers, being able to track their business and be able to make the best decisions based on numbers rather than emotions is a big area. And we teach all of this stuff at the business conference, particularly you, Clay. You love to hammer on time management. It's my favorite part of the conference.
Now, I'm going to pull this up real quick here because we're going to go through. If you're not excited, I want to get you excited about what we're going to cover at the workshop here. Okay.
All right.
The 2-day interactive workshop. This is my 20th year hosting workshops. So I'm telling you, folks, we're in rare form here. So one is the idea of establishing your revenue goals. I think most entrepreneurs don't know their revenue goals. Would you agree, or am I off my rocker?
No, that's totally a very important point we do with every one of our new clients that come on board, is we have to establish the revenue goals. And generally speaking, we have a vague idea, but not an exact idea that can be engineered down into like the daily goals for sales. And so that's a really big one.
Now, next is the break-even numbers. What kind of sales do you have to do to even break even?
Yeah.
Third is, how many hours per week do you want to work? What is your ideal schedule as an entrepreneur? Box number 4, how do you stand out in the clutter of commerce? What makes your company unique from all the different businesses? In a world of brown cows, herds of brown cows, proverbial brown cows, the analogy of brown cows, how can you be the purple cow that stands out? How can you be the squeaky wheel that gets the oil? Box number 5, branding. How do you improve the perception that people have of you, your business, your brand? Box number 6, marketing, your 3-legged marketing stool. What is a turnkey way for you and your company to generate leads so you can succeed? Because if you don't have any leads, your business will bleed. If you can't sell, your business will go to hell. You've got to generate leads. Sean, how often do business owners by default tell you they have a hard time generating leads?
It's almost all of the time. It's really a huge struggle. And many times they may be creating leads, but just through word of mouth. So they get to a point where we've implemented systems, and then they need to create more leads, but they've never had to do it. So there's a lot of different scenarios where business owners are like, how do you create leads? Something we hammer on at the conference a lot.
Box number 7, create a sales conversion system. Again, box number 7, create a sales conversion system. Sales scripts, recorded calls, one-sheets, pre-written emails, lead trackers, all of the sales tools, the sales print pieces, the one-sheets, the big screens that you see inside the business. Whether you're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a lawyer, you got to have sales systems in place. We help you with that. Box number 8, what does it cost you to get another customer? Step number 8, what does it cost you to actually acquire a customer? Step number 9, it's hard to build an organization if you're not organized. We're going to teach you how to create repeatable systems, processes, file organization. Box number 10, we're going to teach you how to manage people, real people on the planet Earth. This just in, we're going to teach you how to manage real people on the planet Earth. Box number 11, how to create a sustainable schedule that works for you and your family. Step number 12, how to create human resources systems for recruiting, hiring, training, and retaining great people. Box number 13, accounting. This just in, we have to cover accounting. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. We're going to cover all the accounting things you need to know. And step 14, finally, What is the point of even achieving success? We're going to go over what is the point of even achieving success, how to design a life that you're excited about, how to design a life where you carve out enough time for your faith, your family, your finance, your fitness, your friendship, your fun, and where you're going to spend your focused time. We're going to go through that, all this and more. Now, the workshop, Sean, it's April 9th and 10th. Yep. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. Yes. And tickets, we always do it. It's $250 or whatever price that someone can afford. Sean, why do we let people name their price? Why do we have scholarship tickets available if somebody can't afford the $250 general admission ticket?
Well, we don't want anybody to miss out on it. You know, you could be at a startup phase or you could be, you know, way along in your business, but we want to make it accessible for everybody. I think it actually goes back to a story of your dad. And like it goes all the way back to how you've always done this as a business coach, trying to make sure that, you know, your average people out there have access to the things that work.
Now, 7 a.m. to 5, Sean, why do we go from 7 to 5 both days? I mean, it's 10 hours a day. 20 hours of training over 2 days. Why do we do 10 hours a day, Sean, of back-to-back workshops? We do a 30-minute teaching session. We do a 15-minute question and answer session, and then we take a break. 30 minutes of teaching, 15 minutes of question and answer, then we take a break. Why do we do that format, Sean?
That format is so that we can keep people engaged and not just sitting there listening, but also getting involved. We really encourage people to ask questions, and that's really where the juiciness of the conference comes out, is you can put your personal situation and your questions on the board, and Clay will tee off and give you direct advice. Even without being in our coaching program, you can get direct coaching from Clay. It's really a very engaging format. I enjoy it a lot.
Once again, folks, this event is April 9th and 10th, 2026. Get those tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. Whoa. Who's our keynote speaker coming to the conference there, Sean?
Tim Tebow is our keynote speaker.
Sean, question number 3, how much does it cost to come to our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
I think it's, did you say it's $250 or whatever you can afford?
That's right, $250 or whatever you can afford. Sean, how do you spell Eric Trump backwards?
P-M-U-R-T-C-I-R-E. Ooh, that took a long time.
I'll have to listen to this. Right. All right, again, that's Sean Lohman. I'm Clay Clark, inviting you to come join us at the in-person Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. This event is April 9th and 10th, 2026. Get those tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. Right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tim Tebow, baby. It's Tebow time.
Oh, yeah.
Tulsa, Jerusalem.
You could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Hey guys, Luke Erickson here with the Thrivetime Show. As you can see behind me, we've got all kinds of energy going on. People are starting to show up for the conference, and it is hot in this place. We got grill guns over here. We've got people playing the drums. We've got a fire breather, and man, people are so excited as they come in. The conference is kicked off. This house is packed. We've got Aaron Kansas with Sean Holmes up there. We've got Steve Currington with Total Ending Concepts up there talking about what is possible when you just implement, when you do the proven system. It's so exciting. People are going crazy. Guys, Luke Erickson with the Thrivetime Show here with you. It is day 2 and the energy is high. People are so excited to be showing up. The team is ready. Come on, let's see what it's like to go on in for day 2. Follow me.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrivetime, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to 70 to 80 conferences. I've probably been to 50 to 60 of them. And I've probably been to 10 to 15 of them. And I've probably been to 20 to 30 of them. And I've probably been to 50 to 60 of them. And I've probably been to 10 to 15 of them. Oh, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days.
I heard about it on the podcast. Started listening to the podcast, became a fan, and then figured out about the workshop. I own an insurance and financial services agency, and I was hoping to learn from the workshop systems and processes. I'm big on systems and processes, and always learning better ways to run a business more efficiently. The atmosphere's second to none. It's a high energy, really cool atmosphere to be around. Contagious, I would say. Just something every entrepreneur, I think, would appreciate and love. I'd say humorous, high energy, and full of substance, which I think is the key. A lot of business coaches or seminars maybe are high on motivation and making you feel good, but don't have a lot of substance that you can take back and implement, the following Monday, where his does. Man, there's a lot of valuable things. I'm gonna say, this is my second workshop. The first workshop I took back really the importance of a group interview. I used to spend hours and hours interviewing people, screening resumes, and that saving my time on that part is valuable. It was that and then the sales scripting that have been two major things just so far. Man, I think they're missing out on, expert advice from somebody who's been there, done that, built companies, has learned a lot of lessons. That's what I'm always looking for, is somebody that I can learn from that's ahead of where I am. And I think if you choose not to come, you're missing out on a lot of good advice that could help your business.
Hi, this is Charles and Amber Koloff. We're the owners of Koloff Fitness. We heard about Clay Clark through Paul Hood, our CPA. We've worked with Clay Clark for the last 2 years. Clay Clark has helped us take our 3 locations in 3 different states and create checklists, workflows, task lists, time blocks for every employee. He's helped us with creating systems and audits for every department, quantitative scorecards for each department and every position so that everybody has a number. It's been able to give us a lot of time freedom and financial freedom and peace of mind to know that everything's running efficiently. And he's been helpful with a lot of marketing, search engine optimization, helping us really rank high in Google and pretty much every area of the business. It's been very, very helpful.
We would describe the experience of working with Clay as very energetic. He's full of energy. He's very encouraging, very motivating, but also accountable. So he keeps us accountable, and we love that accountability. It keeps our drive in the right direction, so we're not chasing things that aren't worth spending our time on.
Yeah, he's a great coach. He helps push us on certain areas, helps coach us in certain areas. We're all emotional creatures, and we go up and down, and he actually will tell us kind of where we're at, how we can get from there, and even emotionally, when we're stressed about something, he'll have a story to relate to, and it really helps us in every area of our business. It's been very, very helpful.
I think Clay's ability to have a whole team behind him that help him with all of his clients, all his coaching clients, is that it allows Clay to do what he's really good at, and that's working one-on-one with the client and coaching them. And then he can have his amazing staff come in and help you accomplish all these goals that you're setting.
And of course, he has all these resources, whether it's videographers or whether it's web developers, that they can quickly jump on your project, knock things out. He can quickly give you the right coaching. He's just got a whole team of people that whatever area you're lacking in your own company, he's got resources from video, web design, search engine guys who are just knowledgeable in that. Even though he knows a lot of that stuff, he's got these capable lieutenants that are ready to just take off and help you get that stuff. More stuff gets done on a weekly basis than you would on like probably most than the individual or some other we've worked with several companies before, and it's just not as many things get done on a weekly basis, so it's been very helpful. Well, the conferences for me, I'm a slow learner, so I have to learn like over and over again, hear things over and over again. I've been to like, I think 8 different conferences, and each time you come, I learn a few new components. Some things are repetitive, but a lot of the stuff just resettles and I get a little bit more depth into each component. So, I mean, I've been to 8 of them. They're all super entertaining. He's very funny, very encouraging. You get to kind of self-reflect a lot. A lot of the stuff is really polarizing. You do a personal inventory of yourself, and you'll think like, hey, I've really got to work on this, really got to work on that. So every time you come, I still get a lot of value out of it.
And as much as every conference is the same, it's totally different. So I think we'll hear stories we haven't heard before. They'll have entertainment, or he'll have speakers he didn't have before. And you, like you said, you just always catch a different part of the material that maybe you didn't catch before, or it's worded differently.
And it's really cool because some people that you've seen like a year ago at a conference, now they're being showcased as a success story, and you get to see their website, you get to see how their stats, all their metrics have improved and the revenue improved. So it's really cool to see people that just a year ago, that of course we've been here 2 years, that just came, that I met, is now being successful. It's really encouraging to see other people, accomplish that stuff. So Clay has helped us optimize our website and helped with really topping the right search engines that we need to make sure that we are very, very competitive with all of our other competitors. He's done, basically he outlines exactly what you need to be accomplishing, and he creates tasks that we have to accomplish and his team has to accomplish. And I would say over the last 2 years, we've totally ramped our website. We're topping Google in every one of our markets. We're just doing, I would say just doing really, really good. I feel very, very confident in all of our future locations and making sure that we're in front of the ideal and likely buyer. It's very encouraging. It's important to me to know when I'm working with Clay, I've been in business for a while and met with him even when I already had three businesses in 3 different states, and to know that what I share with him is staying private. He's not sending that out to anybody else. To know that when he's working with me, he's only working with no other gyms that are in direct competition with me. It's very encouraging to have somebody you can trust and rely on, that he isn't going to somehow tell your trade secrets or give information away. Just really awesome that he's a trustworthy guy, really cares about you as a client. For us, it's been a complete mind freedom because Clay has helped us create a lot of different documents and one-sheets for every department, put quantitative scorecards to each department. And so for us, it's been very encouraging and gives us peace that when, as an entrepreneur, it's stressful. You go to bed at night and you're worried, did we cover this, did we cover that? So he helps extract everything out of your brain, everything from your business, put it into document creation, put it into checklists and workflows for every person in each department, and make sure that everything's getting done every week, every month, and funnel that all into KPIs or key performance indicators that you can see on a weekly basis to make sure you're moving the needle in the right area of your company. So it's very encouraging and give you a complete mind freedom and peace to know that stuff's created, so you're easy to duplicate and scale your company.
Right, and then we can spend time doing what we're really good at and just trust the system.
I honestly believe everybody needs a coach. I think we're all inherently lazy and selfish and carnal. I truly believe that humans are humans. If we're standing, we'd rather sit. If we're sitting, we'd rather lay down. And if we're laying down, we'd rather be asleep. So to have somebody that challenges you, have real active candor, and be honest with you on every aspect of your company is really, really encouraging to me, because I want to know, I want to work on what we're weak at. I want to see any areas that we're not doing well in, and see his perspective from a third party, because you can look at your own business and just see the good. It's good to have somebody who does this, who's done this with hundreds of companies, really look at your company, reflect on your company, and see little chinks in the armor to make sure you cover that up so your competition can't get to you, and that you're successful overall in the big picture. So yes, I would recommend Clay Clark because he is a great friend, a great encourager. To me, he's been a wonderful friend. He's also, you can tell he cares, and he has this wealth of knowledge. He's worked with so many different companies and different businesses. He could take a concept that he's used before in the past with somebody totally different industry and see how it would work perfectly for you in whatever niche market you're in or whatever type of service you're providing. And so his brain is just a wealth of knowledge, and just to have that type of perspective on, as a part of your team and your own company is huge, super valuable. So I would definitely encourage people to use him. But one thing is, you got to be coachable. You got to be wanting to get feedback. You got to be wanting to really grow your company. You got to want to put that extra 10 hours a week to working on your business and not just in your business. And so, yes, I would recommend it to anybody who's wanting to grow their company and provide great systems, checklists, workflows, great encouragement, and have accountability.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And I mean, we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us, and it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builder shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing. And Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us. And I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it, because we sure haven't.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love the building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due. And Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
Clay, my honor to be on your show, and thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you, so congratulations.
And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. Hi, I'm Kelsey with K&D's Woodward Finishing. I'm business owner at 23. So I've been working this K&D's company for about 5 years now, and we started working with Thrive not too long ago. And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. That's what we're going to hit or exceed. So we're pretty excited about that. It's been pretty much just listening to what they have to say. Their hiring process has just really been incredible as far as finding good quality help, and the just the accountability of meeting up with them weekly, and like such good insight, the resources that they have for specific business questions. It's all been really incredible. It's been a great experience, so I would recommend it to anybody.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Pipkin. I am 24 years old and I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services. We opened in April of 2019 and it is now mid-June of 2020. So I wanted to talk today about the success and growth I have achieved by implementing the Proven Path with Clay Clark's team and my business coach Luke from Thrivetime. It has been insane to say the least. I started working with them in mid-February of this year, so we're about 4 months in of working together, and it has completely transformed my business in pretty much every facet. So I'm gonna check my notes here. So in 4 months, my leads have tripled. I was getting probably like 2 leads a week. Now I'm getting more in the like 10 to 15 leads a week. I have doubled my number of employees. I'm now hitting the highest revenue weeks in the history of the company, week to week it seems like. We went from about 6 appointments today as our highest in February to now 14 to 15 appointments a day. And hiring quality employees has become much simpler and less stressful by using their systems for hiring. I typically only get maybe 2 complaints a month, if that, and everybody shows up to work. I just have really high quality employees now, especially in something people typically consider a high turnover type of work, you know, cleaning houses, cleaning businesses. I have amazing employees now, and I get rid of the ones who are not so amazing and bring on new ones because of, you know, group interviews and interviewing every single week. It's just been great, and such I don't waste as much time on low quality candidates anymore. And your coach will hold you accountable. I mean, which I love. Again, the tough love is really great. You know, Luke's like a stern father figure, but he's also nice, but also stern when he needs to be when I'm being lazy and not doing the things that I know I need to do because I don't want to do them. So that's just great. Worth every penny. I mean, I'd pay him $1 million a month if I can, and maybe someday I'll be able to, but I would just say go for it. If it seems like a good fit, just go for it. Do what they say, even if you think it's stupid or ridiculous, just do what they say because it'll work. You know, people, when they look at my business, you know, people in my town, they think I'm lucky. They think I'm just, you know, things just happen for me. And, you know, maybe I am lucky, but it has a lot to do with hard work and, you know, perseverance and, you know, working till you cry sometimes. That's just being an entrepreneur, which if you're a business owner, you understand that. But it's having these systems in place of, you know, of course I'm going to be successful. It's an absolute because I have all this stuff in the background happening, and I have Luke and Clay and everybody on their team working really hard to make sure that I'm a success, and I can tell that they are just so excited every single week when I'm having all these wins and things like that. They're so excited for me. So it's the best thing ever, and I would suggest to anybody to work with them. So sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just had so much to say, and I could go on for hours probably about how amazing they are. But thank you to Clay and Luke and the entire team there, everything you guys have done for me, and I am so excited to continue to work with you for years to come. Thanks so much for watching.
My saying is, if it's important to you, hire a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons people are not successful is they eat a cheeseburger instead of hiring a coach, you know what I mean? And so my coach pushes me. They're younger than me. They push harder. They're trained. And as my rich dad always said, amateurs don't have a coach, but professionals always have coaches. So I've always had coaches for whatever was important. My rich dad was one of those persons. I wanted to learn how to play Monopoly in real life. So he was my coach.